Boatworks today is sponsored by Total Boat and Alexseal Yacht Coatings, as well as supported by the generosity from the beautiful folks over on Patreon. Thank you so much. So welcome back to the shop, everybody. Hope you're all having a fantastic weekend. My name is Andy with Boatworks today, and this week, after over a year of having to keep my mouth shut and just wait, I can finally spill the beans on something that's been in the works for over a year. And well, actually it's three things that have been in the works for over a year, but they're all kind of combined or intertwined, I guess. So yeah, it's been a long time coming. I've been extremely reluctant to even mention this to anybody. A few people I've kind of whispered it to, but for the most part, I haven't really talked about it to anyone. Mainly for the reason that I didn't want to jinx myself in case it didn't, all the pieces didn't kind of fall into place. But also, just in case it didn't fall into place, I didn't want to, look around like an idiot. So, with that said, let's just get started. So the whole reason this process has been drawn out as long as it has been really came down to timing. Now, just as we all know, within the past year, actually it will be exactly 1 year tomorrow or on Saturday morning. But anyways, so just in this past year, we've had just a lot of things going on. I mean, obviously we moved from Wisconsin to Michigan. We also had to build, get the new shop built out, get the addition going. All of that was more this spring, and relocate the business over 2.5 hours away. Now, if you've ever had to do anything like that, even if just moving, forget the business and that whole aspect of it. If you've ever just moved from one area to another, completely new, that in and of itself is a huge undertaking. It's a lot of work. Now, for the past year and a half, maybe even two, I'm not entirely positive off the top of my head, but as you know, I've been working with Alexseal, and ever since I've started highlighting their products and doing demonstrations here online as far as how it can roll out and how easy it is to repair and all this other good stuff, I've been essentially getting two questions almost daily. And the first one being is, where can I buy it? The second one is, do I have any discount codes for it? Now, I'm going to start off with the discount code thing. Now, up until recently, I have not been a distributor for them. Again, like I just touched on, just too many other things going on, irons in the fire. The timing just wasn't right to pull that trigger quite yet. So with me not being a distributor for them, I had no way of offering a discount code. I mean, if I were to call up, ABC Marine Supplies somewhere and say, hey, by the way, my guy, the people that watch me would love to have a discount code. They'd probably tell me to go pound sand. So because I wasn't selling their product directly, I had zero control over that. It was just completely out of my hands. There was nothing I could do about it until I became a distributor for them. Now, if you have no idea what I'm referring to when I mention Alexseal or anything like that, I will include a link down below in the description to a playlist of really all the videos that I've done on their products, from application to repair, advantages, disadvantages, all that good stuff. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go ahead and check that out. That'll bring you up to speed. But just kind of given the nature of their product and the workability of it, and the nature of my channel, essentially it's boating help for the DIY or the do-it-yourselfer, it was just a very natural fit for me to get more involved with this company and specifically distributing their products. So after deciding that this was something that I wanted to pursue, at that point it became a matter of logistics, specifically where I would be able to run this retail business out of. Now, I had a few options. I mean, the first one that came to my mind, going back over a year ago, was to try and run that operation out of my old shop in Wisconsin. Now, that gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling for about 30 seconds until it kind of set in that I'm 2.5 hours away. Logistically trying to run something like that, especially just getting it started, when I'm that far away, it would have been a logistical nightmare. That would have just right off the bat, let alone trying to work out the bugs as far as all the shipping and receiving and labeling and all the little nuances that kind of are going to come along with this. Trying to manage all that remotely, wasn't going to work. But then, having to add in, okay, well, if I wasn't going to be the one that was going to be doing this hands-on, now I'm looking at having to hire someone that I can trust, Then you start getting into work comp, and it became a nightmare very, very quickly. So although it was an option, I guess although it was an option, it really wasn't much of an option. Now, behind door number 2 would have been to run it out of here, specifically out of the addition. Now, I wasn't real keen on that. One, zoning would have been a time suck, because we're not zoned commercial here at the house. So just having to go through that process, it would have taken months. And I wasn't real comfortable having that run out of here. So door number 3, or option number 3, would obviously be to try and find a retail location here locally that I could operate out of. And while it may not seem all that difficult to try and find a place local here to work out of, that, as we came to find out, was much easier said than done. There's nothing available unless we were looking for like a $2-3 million existing business to operate out of, which is not at all what I was looking for. At the end of the day, really all I need is a glorified office space. So, I mean, there are areas or properties around here that are available. They would not have been a good fit for me. Now, just kind of as a quick little side story, what are the chances? Leave it to women, right? So one day my wife was driving home and she's like, I drove by this little strip outlet thing. There's 2 units on the end. It's like a strip of like 6, maybe even 7 businesses there. And she's like, the 2 units on the end look like they're vacant. I'm like, come on, it can't be that simple. Sure as hell, they were vacant. And it wasn't 2 separate units. It was 1 unit that was essentially a double wide or a double space. So what are the chances, right? Anyways, rather than me sitting here explaining it, let's go take a little tour. Now, the particular unit that I'm looking at here, it's actually a double wide, so it's twice the size of every other space along this strip. Now, like I mentioned last week, overall the space is far, far too big for what it is that I need. But luckily, when I was talking with the owner, he was totally open to basically closing off this opening and to splitting this one large unit into 2 separate smaller spaces. Evidently, he's got plans to turn this space over here into a bit of a coffee shop, which, now that I'm looking at it like this, would be absolutely ideal. But this space over here, going back many, many years ago, evidently was a little cafe, kind of like a little local dive. And since then, they ended up, for whatever reason, folding up their business. And then it got started to turn into a barbecue joint, which got maybe a quarter of the way through, and then they literally left town and lost everything. But this little space back here, this is kind of the business end of the building where all the bathrooms and closets are. Now, here is the space that we're looking at. This is 20 wide by 30 feet deep. Essentially, it's the same size as the addition I just put on to the main shop here at the house. And while the size of the space itself, I think, is perfectly adequate, as you can see, there are some issues going on here. Now, the heating system for this, I guess, larger unit, being that both units combined, the heater or the furnace for itself is outside and strapped onto the roof. Now, obviously, there are some moisture things going on, and given that the drywall is peeling all around each of the heating registers on the ceiling, I'm guessing that the furnace probably needs to be replaced. But my understanding is that the current owner just closed on this actually, I want to say less than a month ago. So he's still trying to navigate all this. He has a unit along this strip, so it's kind of in his interest to make sure that everything here is working as it should. Now, one of the things that he mentioned that needs to get done right off the bat is that it needs a new roof. It's a rubberized roof up on top, and a few years back, evidently, there was some jokers were up there with snow blowers. I mean, we are in the UP. We just got almost 16 feet of snow this winter alone. So there were a couple of yahoos up there with snow blowers, and I'm sure they just gouged the living crap out of that rubber membrane up there. So he said pretty much every unit along this strip, which is like 6, 7, maybe even 8 businesses, almost every single one of them has roof issues. It's kind of funny, as I was sitting here talking, going over all this with my girls and telling them everything that needed to get done. She's like, what in the hell did you get yourself into here? Hopefully it works. She was not impressed. So starting May 1, if you're watching this on YouTube, which is going to be tomorrow morning, that's going to be the new future home of the distribution for Alexseal. Now, also on Monday morning, I've got I've got some commercial racks, storage racks coming in, as well as all the packing material for shipping everything out. Up until this point, for the last couple of weeks, I've been working on getting all the certifications for being able to pack and ship hazardous material, basically to fulfill the requirements for UPS and FedEx. That's plugging along. It's kind of like watching or having to scratch your nails on the chalkboard. It's not a very fun process. It's not difficult, but it's kind of like going to the dentist. You just really, having to go through that is whatever. It is what it is. It's not bad. At least now, because of this fancy little bug that's been going around. At least I'm able to do it remotely. So I mean that's a good thing, I guess. So overall, things are moving along very, very quickly. Now, if all goes well, which I don't anticipate any hiccups between now and then, but the plan is to be able to be up and running 100% to fulfilling potential orders before Memorial Day. So I've got 4 weeks to get everything kind of nailed down and in place. The website. I gotta get the website ready. So then, with all operations being based locally here in Michigan, I have zero need for the shop back in Wisconsin. Now, I'm just gonna say, I love that shop. I have had a lot of blood, sweat, and tears out of that place, and I love that shop. I designed it. I had it built exactly the way that I wanted. The thought of putting it up and selling it was not an easy thing, an easy pill for me to swallow, but it's one of those things that just had to happen. There's no point in paying for it, maintaining it, all the upkeep and the utilities and taxes and all that stuff. It makes zero sense for me to hold on to it. So, got a hold of a realtor that I've had some experience with in the past, and we put it up on the market about 2 weeks ago, and let me just say, I was fully anticipating sitting on this thing for over a year. It's a great building. It's just the location, it leaves a little bit to be desired. I mean, Herbster, there's nothing in Herbster other than my shop and my old shop and my neighbor's business. So we put it up, listed up on the market. I think it went live on a Saturday morning, and by Tuesday afternoon, we already had a signed offer for purchase. Didn't see that one coming, not in a million years. So the offer was a very good offer. So we signed it, and right now we have an agreement to sell. Tentative closing date is June 3. So I mean, it's really a month. I've got 4 weeks to get everything sorted out, packed up, and moved. And I'm just going to say there's a lot of crap left still there, and I honestly don't know where I'm going to put it. So a lot to figure out, but that's all right. That's all right. It's it's an awesome problem to have. I will take it every day of the week. So these next 4 weeks are going to be really, really busy. I've got to get everything moved out of the old shop. So that's just going to be, probably a fair amount of time on the road just driving back and forth. I should buy stock in U-Haul, especially over this past year. But anyways, so I got to get it moved out of the old shop. I need to get the retail space set up and running for Alexseal. And I've still got to finish the addition that we put on the building here. And I've got my deadline with the Bertram. I'm hoping for Labor Day to be able to have that splashed in the water. So I need to maintain some progress on the Bertram. And then, springtime, it being what it is, I do a lot of consulting. I help a lot of people with their own projects. And there's always a big uptick in that in the springtime, which is good. And it'll probably maintain that pace up until 4th of July, and then it'll kind of, level off through the end of summer. Busy, busy. You know, I've got to say, it's, you know, keep yourself too busy to be able to complain about anything. Yeah, I'm knocking it out of the park this year. So before I close this out, I just want to mention that if you have a project coming up where you're going to be using paint as your finish coat, leave a comment down below specifically on what color or colors you're looking at. I have the tentative stocking list put together for Alexseal, but it has not been formally submitted yet. So if there are some particular colors that you're looking for, let me know down below. My intention at this point is to stock basically 6 gallons of the top 12 most popular colors that they sell. So, you know, a nice little assortment, but I'm not going to have a huge assortment. I'm not going to be offering all of their colors. I think I'll be able to get it, but I'm not going to stock it just because holy inventory. So, but anyways, so if you have a project coming up where you would like to, use Alexseal as your finish coat, let me know what colors you're looking at down below, and I will make sure that those colors are included in the initial stocking order. But on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and close this video out. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it interesting. I'm kind of excited about this. There's just a lot of things that have been in the works for a long time that's finally coming to fruition. But anyways, so as always, but if you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell down below so you're notified when new videos come out, basically every Sunday morning here on YouTube, 9 a.m. Central. Yeah, set your alarms. If you have any questions, comments, specifically on paint colors or anything like that, leave those down below. I will do my best to follow up with you. And as always, I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.
This has been a Boatworks Today production.